In an alternate universe, the story unfolds with Cassius Green, an African-American man, attending a telemarketing interview using a fabricated resume. Surprisingly, Mr. Anderson hires him, recognizing his initiative and resourcefulness. Delighted, Cassius leaves the office happily, chanting the company slogan STTS, stick to the script repeatedly. The next morning, Cassius wakes up beside his girlfriend, Detroit, feeling burdened by dark thoughts about his worthlessness, mortality, and the state of the world. Detroit reassures him, emphasizing the value and significance of everything in life. Their conversation transitions into affectionate gestures, but their intimate moment is interrupted when a wall in their garage living space opens up, revealing the broken door. Realizing it's time to find a new place to live, Cash decides to move out. As they prepare for work, a television commercial for worry-free living catches Cassius's attention, promising a life free from worries regarding employment, food, and housing. Detroit redirects his focus by inquiring about his salary. Before leaving home, Cassius is confronted by his uncle Sergio, who demands repayment of 4 months' worth of overdue rent. Sergio, worried that the house could be repossessed due to the debt, offers Cassius his old car to assist him. Giving Cash a 2-week deadline to settle the debt, Sergio expresses his frustration. Feeling distressed, Cassius heads to work, passing through impoverished neighborhoods and dumps. In the office, he meets his boss, Johnny, who assigns him a workstation, checks if he has memorized the script, and provides a list of clients to call. Summoning his courage, Cassius makes his first call, but unexpectedly, along with his workstation, he ends up in the client's living room. Perplexed, Cassius attempts to start his pitch, but the client promptly hangs up. After recovering from his initial awkward situation, Cassius dials the next number and once again finds himself in an unexpected position, witnessing a female client engaged in intimate activity with her partner. Utterly embarrassed, Cash hurriedly begins his pitch, but once again, he's abruptly hung up on. Feeling disheartened, Cassius double-checks the script and attempts to engage with the next client. This time, he connects with an elderly woman who confides in him about her financial struggles due to her husband's cancer treatment expenses. Despite her hardships, Cassius sticks to the script, but the conversation ends abruptly when the lady hangs up. After work, Cassius and his friend Salvador unwind at a nightclub, where they meet a celebrity. Following the star, Cassius sneaks into the VIP area, and no one notices him. The following workday, Cassius meets Langston, a fellow salesman who advises him to adopt a white voice to sound more confident and reassuring to clients. Confused by the suggestion, Cassius questions its necessity, but Langston explains that it's about projecting an image of financial stability to the client. During a company meeting, the management introduces Diana Dubois as the new manager, emphasizing a team-oriented approach and the potential for every employee to excel. Johnny interjects, convincing everyone to just stick to the script. After the company meeting, Cassius goes to the coffee machine and encounters Squeeze, who suggests that he join their union to advocate for better wages and benefits. However, Cassius declines the offer. Undeterred, Squeeze proposes meeting after work for a drink to discuss the matter further. Later, after finishing work, Cassius, accompanied by Squeeze and Salvador, picks up Detroit from her job as a sign spinner. During the car ride, Cash introduces Detroit to Squeeze, praising her talents as a visual artist and performer. Detroit playfully corrects him, emphasizing that her artistic abilities extend beyond sign spinning and mentioning her upcoming gallery exhibition. She then reminisces about Cassius's school days, but he abruptly interrupts her, failing to understand why she keeps bringing up his past. As they drive, it begins to rain, prompting Cassius to ask Detroit to manually operate the broken windshield wipers. In a bar, they watch a news report about ongoing protests at the Worry-Free headquarters, where demonstrators argue that the company's lifelong contracts are akin to slavery. However, the CEO, Steve Lift, strongly opposes this view, recommending reading his book for clarification. Meanwhile, drinks are served to Cassius, Detroit, Salvador, and Squeeze, prompting Cassius to deliver a toast using his white voice. His friends are taken aback, seemingly entranced by his sudden change in demeanor. Cassius shares the source of his newfound vocal technique and its significance. However, Squeeze dismisses it all as nonsense, saying the only way to help themselves is to form a union. The next morning, near his home, Cash encounters his uncle and assures him that he'll repay the debt soon. However, his uncle reveals that the debt is the least of his worries, as he's facing significant financial troubles that could lead to losing his house. Serge expresses frustration over his worsening diabetes due to the stress and shows Cash a pill from a large golden cross, contemplating seeking assistance from Worry-Free for shelter and food. Despite this, Cash and Detroit adamantly oppose the idea, pledging to resolve the situation themselves. At work, Cassius begins using his white voice, resulting in a dramatic increase in his sales performance, much to the delight of Cash and his management team. Johnny hints at the possibility of Cash advancing to become a superseller, eliciting excitement. However, Salvador warns him, recounting a similar promise made to him 3 months prior. Meanwhile, Detroit sits nearby, sporting new earrings she crafted herself. Cash spends time at the bar with Squeeze and Langston, watching a popular TV show featuring violent confrontations. Squeeze questions the show's appeal, while Langston enthusiastically embraces it, even wearing a fan t-shirt. As Squeeze goes to dance, Cash and Langston discuss their work, with Cash discovering that super sellers deal with entirely different products compared to their current offerings. Langston compares their situations as apples and Holocaust. Leaving the bar, Cash encounters Salvador and his friends, who commend Cash's success at work, believing he has finally found his place. However, Detroit arrives, slightly disappointed that Cash didn't attend her gallery exhibition. Squeeze points out Detroit's new earrings, depicting a golden chair with a man chained to it. Behind them, a poster reads, "Show the world that you are a responsible baby daddy." Cash and Detroit drive to work together, encountering Squeeze staging a boycott upon arrival, demanding fair pay for all employees. Although Cassius is initially hesitant about joining the protest, he ultimately decides to stand with his colleagues. At the designated time, all the employees participate in the revolt, throwing down their phones and chanting against the company. To hell with Regal. Despite Cash's involvement in the protest, the company management overlooks his participation and instead promotes him, transferring him to work with the super sellers, the top performers. Overwhelmed by this stroke of luck, Cash sees it as his chance to achieve wealth. The following day, Cassius arrives at work dressed in a stylish suit and is greeted by Diana at the elevator with golden doors, who escorts him to his new position. Accessing the floor of top sellers requires a very long password. Upon reaching the floor, he meets Mr., who explains that in the super seller apartments, only the white voice is used. During their conversation, Cash learns that they sell weaponry and exploit labor over the phone, including slave labor. Initially hesitant, Cash agrees after seeing the lucrative paycheck. Meanwhile, Detroit stages a performance with a sign near the road. Squeeze, passing by, offers her a ride home, but she declines, expecting Cash to pick her up. However, Cash fails to show up, leaving Detroit to find her own way home. Later, Cassius visits Di's gallery to share his promotion news, but he evades her question about the nature of their sales, knowing her stance against exploitation and human rights abuses. Outside the office entrance, Cassius encounters Squeeze and other employees brainstorming a new protest strategy. However, Cash reveals his recent promotion and declares that he won't be participating in the boycott anymore. Salvador, feeling betrayed, expresses his outrage, accusing Cash of turning his back on them. Feeling disheartened, Cassius heads into the office, where he's immediately assigned to handle business with worry-free. Making his first call to Mr. Yoshi-san in Japan, he successfully closes a significant deal worth $10 million, offering to manufacture phones for worry-free at a reduced cost. Upon receiving his first advance, Cash settles his debt with Uncle Serge, purchases a new car, and rents a luxurious apartment. The next morning, Cassius switches on the TV, but his options are limited to a worry-free advertisement, a violent TV show, or news about the ongoing protest led by Squeeze and Salvador. Opting for the news, Cash learns that his company is effectively promoting elite Regal sellers by utilizing the striking workers as a buffer. Detroit, waking up to this news, is displeased with Cash's actions, feeling he betrayed his friends by refusing to support the strike and by endorsing the sale of slave labor. Cassius vehemently disagrees, leading to a heated argument between them. Diana warns Cash that if he crosses the picket line and goes to work, it's over between them. Ignoring Detroit's plea, Cash proceeds to work, escorted by armed security that forcibly clears his path. In the office, Cassius continues to achieve remarkable success, leading to a celebratory party in his honor. True to her word, Detroit decides to leave Cash. Outside, the situation with the striking workers remains volatile and deteriorates further. Each day, Cash is escorted into the office through the enraged crowd, with projectiles like bottles and stones hurled at him. Inside the office, Mr. acknowledges Cassius as their top performer once again and reveals that the CEO of Worry Free, Steve, has personally invited Cash to a party to meet him. Before the party, Cash attends Di's exhibition and discovers that she also employs the white voice in her interactions with clients. At the gallery, he encounters Squeeze and Salvador, who have come to support D. Squeeze urges Cash to assist them, highlighting his newfound internet fame after being hit by a bottle, which could aid their cause. Meanwhile, Detroit begins her performance art piece, titled The Transformer Experiment, advocating for the African Congo's plight, where coltan mining involves conflict and slave labor. Dee outlines the terms of the performance, allowing spectators to throw items like broken cell phones, spent bullet casings, or balls filled with sheep's blood at Detroit as she recites a passage from the movie The Last Dragon. Cash interrupts the performance, but Detroit kicks him out to the slave party. At the party, Steve initiates the festivities with the use of a white powder resembling cocaine. Amidst the celebrations, Mr. introduces Cassius to Steve. Initially, Lift feigns ignorance about Cassius' identity and purpose at the party, causing confusion for Cassius. However, Steve quickly clarifies that it was a joke and expresses genuine appreciation for Cassius' contributions to the company. Meanwhile, Squeeze assists Detroit in cleaning up the gallery after her performance, and their interaction culminates in a kiss. Feeling out of place and uncomfortable at the party, Cassius becomes disoriented by guests' stereotypical expectations, such as demanding he share a gangster story or rap because of his race. Overwhelmed, he retreats to another room. Mr. notices Cassius' distress and arranges a private meeting between him and Steve. During their conversation, Lift offers Cassius a dose of the white powder, and despite any reservations, Cash agrees. Despite Cassius' social missteps at the party, Steve remains impressed with his professional achievements and expresses interest in signing a new contract. However, just as the meeting reaches a critical point, Cassius urgently needs to use the restroom, abruptly ending the discussion. While searching for the restroom, Cassius opens a wrong door and discovers people horses chained to the stalls instead. In a state of panic, Cassius rushes out of the room and collides with Steve in the hallway. Lift, unwilling to let Cash leave without an explanation, brings him to his office and reveals the truth behind the people horses. He explains that the transformation is induced by the white powder, which he denies offering to Cassius earlier. Steve praises the concept, claiming that the horse-human hybrids are more durable and productive. Despite Cash's horror at the revelation, Lift offers him a lucrative deal, $100 million to become a manager overseeing the people horses, with the condition of signing a 5-year contract and undergoing the transformation himself. Cassius is appalled, realizing the extent of greed and inhumanity behind Worry-Free's actions. The following morning, Cassius grapples with his next steps. He notices a newspaper headline people should worry about Worry-Free, prompting him to take action. He contacts the San Francisco Chronicle and divulges everything to journalist Eric Arnold, but his pleas fall on deaf ears as Arnold dismisses him and ends the call. In a desperate attempt to confirm he hasn't undergone any changes, Cassius seeks out Detroit. She mentions receiving a video message from him the previous night, which she hadn't watched. Cassius recalls losing his phone and asks her to view the message. To their horror, the video reveals the plight of the people horses, prompting them to realize the urgency of helping them. Though they're unsure how to proceed, Cash is experiencing a breakdown, feeling overwhelmed by changes happening to him, but finds solace in Detroit's presence. Later, at his place, following an intimate moment, Dee informs him that their relationship won't progress and reveals she's been spending time with someone else, though Cassius chooses not to inquire further. The next day, Detroit and their friends stumble upon a peculiar statue outside the Worry-Free office, depicting a white man embracing the hindquarters of a horse, with his pants down. Dee, suspicious of Worry-Free, entertains the idea that the company might be transforming people into horses. As Cassius wanders the streets, he realizes he's recognized and decides to appear on a popular TV show to expose the truth by sharing a video clip. However, the host demands that before airing the clip Cassius must be beaten up, then must jump into a barrel of excrement, to which Cash reluctantly agrees. Despite the video going viral and Cash making impassioned speeches on various platforms, society views his stunt as brilliant, leading to a surge in stocks for Steve Lift's company. Recognizing the need for support, Cash reconciles with Squeeze and Salvador, and together they plan to confront Regal View and stage a larger strike. With better preparation, they resist the armed security and prevent the super salespeople from entering the office. However, the arriving rapid response forces violently disperse the protesters, with Cash himself getting injured and losing consciousness. He regains consciousness, finding himself bound in a vehicle. Peering through a small window, Cash witnesses guards mercilessly killing people, leaving him feeling helpless and panicked. Suddenly, ordinary citizens, led by horse people whom Cash aided in escaping, come to the rescue and overpower the guards. Detroit, filled with pride and happiness for Cash, forgives him and returns to him. To make amends, Cash gives his luxurious car to Salvador and moves back in with Dee, residing in his uncle's garage. Though it seems like a happy conclusion, Cash's face inexplicably morphs into that of a horse. As a horse human, Cash becomes a leader for the other mutants, rallying them to seek vengeance against Steve Lift. They march towards Lift's residence, instilling terror in him as he watches through a camera, realizing his demise is imminent. With the declaration "I'm Cassius calling on behalf of Stomp a Mud Hole in Your Ass. Sorry to bother you, but," the horse human crashes into the house, breaking down the door with a resounding neigh. Would you accept Steve's offer? Share your thoughts in the comments below, hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. See you in the next videos.